This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Following program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, so true. It hurts that it does not matter who the host is. What has always mattered is who the listeners are. Anyways, today is Tuesday, February the 18th of 2025, day 49th of the year. And only 316 days left to go. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM and hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
Yep, a lot of stuff going on, little time to talk about it. Hopefully everything's good, grand inside of your neck of the woods as everything's going on inside of here. Man, what a weird news day yesterday, huh? With some of the things going on, taking a look, moving around, all that kind of fun stuff. So, let's talk real quick. Our show here yesterday, apparently I was so excited about life, I did not realize, and then people pointed it out to me afterwards, is that, yesterday was the 1100 episode. Yep, 1100 episode of this thing. Crazy when you start sitting back for a moment and thinking about that, but for some reason, it entirely had slipped my mind as we were going through the process. And then all of a sudden, I had people reaching out and going, congratulations, and I'm like, what the hell are they congratulating me for? I was like, what did I do? And that's what it was, 1,100 episodes. So I guess today is 1101. We're into college level courses now, as it's all said. So anyways, thanks for, tagging along during these 1,100 so far. Wow, what a number, huh? Anyways, really much appreciated, because I know I didn't say anything yesterday, so now I feel terrible that I didn't do that, but I guess that's more of a me issue, not a you issue, so there you go. Okay, so let's talk about our show. If you have not made it to one of our previous 1,100 episodes, our show consists of safety in the news, nudes, and safety. It used to be a rant show many, many years ago. So yeah, that's what we do. We talk about news and safety in the news. We bring some people in that start talking that are professional broadcasters, and they tell you exactly what's going on inside of news stories. And then I give you some level of a main story in the middle, towards the middle, something like that. And then the other side of the equation is that you have the opportunity to interact with us by going to callinradio.com. Yeah, if you go to callinradio.com, that will kind of put everything through our system in regards of what exactly we're doing. So that makes it interesting for me in regards of what's going on. So, yeah, a lot of stuff. Why don't we do this? Why don't we start talking about what the hell was trending in the overnight? By the way, the call-in radio thing, video, audio, text messaging. Let's not forget that part because that's important.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about it because some people are going to want to know what's on the tap for today. Notable and noteworthy, the latest on yesterday's freak plane accident that occurred in Toronto. Also, a Raven gets arrested. And Kendrick Lamar makes Billboard rap history. We'll talk about that as we get into show business. Also, the Kate Winslet makes her directorial debut, and a new Netflix thriller takes over the charts. Yeah, it takes over the charts. We'll get into some of that as we get into casting calls. And the Walsies, show off their artistic prowess. So we'll talk about all that kind of stuff as we are going. So if you're ready, I'm ready. I have some people that are waiting, that are wanting to tell you about what the hell's going on inside of the world of the news. So let's do this. Let's bring in our friends from Feature Story News and go from there.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. The United States and Russia are beginning talks in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio are in Riyadh for discussions Washington says will find out if Moscow is serious about an end to the conflict. Neither Ukraine nor any European nations have been invited to the talks. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says Europe and the US need to put Kyiv in the best possible position for negotiations.
Just because there may be talks that now is the time to back down on any support for Ukraine, we need to ramp it up, in my view. What we also need to do is to ensure that if there is an agreement, it is a lasting and just agreement.
China is accusing the United States of a serious regression in its position on Taiwan. This after the State Department updated the Taiwan section of its website to remove a reference to the independence of the Beijing-claimed island. The move's been welcomed by Taiwan, with its foreign minister thanking the US for what he called positive Taiwan-friendly wordings. Laura Westbrook reports from Hong Kong.
The fact sheet on the US State Department website continues to state Washington's opposition to any unilateral changes to the status quo from either China or Taiwan, but the phrase "we do not support Taiwan independence" appears to have been removed in what's been called a routine update. This has angered Beijing, which claims the self-ruled island of Taiwan as its own. It says the revision sends a wrong signal to separatist forces advocating for Taiwan independence and has urged Washington to immediately correct its mistakes. Laura Westbrook, Hong Kong.
Over 30 people have been killed in a bus crash in mountains in Bolivia. Police say the accident happened in Yocala district, with the vehicle falling around 800 metres. President Donald Trump is seeking approval from the US Supreme Court to remove the leader of an independent ethics agency. Hampton Dellinger, who oversees the US Office of Special Counsel, an agency dedicated to safeguarding government employees who report misconduct, is challenging his dismissal. Mitch McCann reports from New York.
It's been reported that the administration is asking the Supreme Court to allow it to fire the head of the government agency which is dedicated to protecting government employees who become whistleblowers. Hampton Dellinger is the head of the Office of the Special Counsel, and he argues that his firing is unlawful because he can only be dismissed from his role because of performance, and no such issue was highlighted when he was emailed to be made aware of his termination in recent weeks. Now, the White House argues that allowing courts to issue rulings that go against Donald Trump's decisions, quote, irreparably harm the presidency by curtailing his ability to manage the executive branch in the earliest days of his administration.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, as Europe scrambles following President Donald Trump's announcement of talks with Russia about the future of Ukraine, much is being said about peacekeeping operations and what they might look like along the border between the two countries. UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer even said on Monday he would be willing to commit UK forces to the effort. But Major General Jonathan Shaw, former Assistant Chief of the Defence Staff in the UK, now a security consultant, thinks it's far too early for that conversation.
What peace is there to keep? And even if the Russians come up with some temporary ending of hostility. How long will that peace last? Does anyone actually trust Putin? No, don't think so. We need to learn the lessons of the Balkans and the ease and simplicity with which people deployed peacekeepers, but the complete failure to provide the necessary legal rights to fight back and the political support to fight back, and then, of course, crucially, the military means to fight back and defeat the people who are breaking the peace treaty. If we're going to deploy peacekeepers, they need to be war fighters, and that's a grim realization.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, skeptical about the Trump administration's plans, insists everything relating to peace in his country will depend on the strength of the security guarantees his war-torn nation is able to count upon. I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories, the US and Russia are beginning talks in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. China's accusing the United States of a serious regression in its position on Taiwan. Over 30 people have been killed in a bus crash in mountains in Bolivia, and President Donald Trump is seeking approval from the US Supreme Court to remove the leader of an independent ethics agency. That's the latest feature story news. Ollie Barrett reporting.
You are listening to a renowned safety expert, Dr. Jay Allen, on Safety FM. Changing safety cultures, one broadcast and one podcast at a time. Join the fun on social media and find us on Facebook at Safety FM.
Let me talk to you real quick. What is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Spend your time this month shopping for gifts and sipping cocoa, not stuck at the checkout line. Sign up for HelloFresh and get everything you need to whip up a fresh, tasty meal delivered to your door. Just choose your recipes, select a delivery date, and relax knowing that dinner's on its way. HelloFresh has over 45 recipes and more than 100 seasonal add-on items to choose from every week, so it's easier than ever to find something everyone will enjoy. Go to HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free. That's HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free to use the code SafetyFM free for free breakfast for life. One breakfast per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free with code SafetyFM free. And don't forget that this is why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
Safety never sounded so terrible.
Rated R Safety Show.
I know you all want to hit your revenue targets and get the launch done. Well, making sure that your team knows what to do and how to do it is a huge part of it. So I'm sure that you all do different kinds of training, and I'm willing to bet that you probably use PowerPoint, Zoom, etc. I also bet that when you get someone droning on about a topic using these tools, you probably zone out. And your team does too. I mean, it is a reality of what happens. That's why I strongly recommend a tool called Articulate 360. That makes it so easy to whip together interactive, really beautiful e-learnings that really engages people and gets info across. You can create short-form micro-learning, super interactive courses, and really whatever you need when you're in their site. Then with a couple of clicks, you can send it out and check on it and see the progress of your team. Your team can also check back on the training anytime they want in a super simple portal. Literally everyone uses Articulate. Over 120,000 companies and all 100 Fortune 100 companies. Check it out at articulate.com/360 to start a free trial. That's articulate.com/360 to start your free trial. And don't forget to tell them that I was the one that sent you there.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
Well, you know that here at Safety FM and Radio Big, we're always trying to look for life hacks. So
With the busy season just around the corner, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for your jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kits, can help you fuel up with fast chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, and ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Refresh your healthy habits without missing a beat. Choose from 34 weekly flavored packs. Dietitian-approved meals ready to eat in 2 minutes. All you need to do is head over to factorsmeals.com/safetyfm50 and use code safetyfm50 to get 50% off. That's code safetyfm50 at factormeals.com/safetyfm50 to get 50% off. Go there. Do it now.
Here is another bit for our competitors to copy. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, here we go. A lot of stuff going on. Little time to talk, little time to move, little time to groove. No doubt about that, as we are hanging out on this lovely Tuesday. Yeah, doing our thing. That is for sure, as we are kind of rocking it out there. Okay, so a lot of stuff to go through, so let's get into it real quick. All flights from Minneapolis to Toronto, not all flights, a flight from Minneapolis to Toronto crash landed on the runway on Monday afternoon, and here's the latest details. Despite flipping over entirely, no one died immediately in the accident, but 17 people were injured, including one child. Despite the rumors about the critical injuries, an airport official said that during the Monday evening press conference that no one was in critical condition, and there was at least 80 people on board on a 76 passengers and 4 crew members. Reports vary regarding the widespread during the landing, regarding from 40 to 70 miles per hour. Despite the mainstream media's information, no FAA staffers have been laid off by the federal government, and neither have professionals who perform safety critical functions, according to the White House press secretary. So there you go. One first-handed social media video of the passengers being helped out from the crash has made it online, just in case if you were not aware. So it is out there. I mean, I guess we could give that to you if you're interested enough. I can probably pull some stuff. Of course, it's going to be an X file. It's going to be a file from X. So let's do this because, it's still breaking and all that kind of fun stuff in regards of everything that's going on. So let's go here. There is supposedly some profanity in there. I don't know what they say, but I guess we're going to find out together. So let's do this like here. Here we go.
Drop it. Come on. Don't take no video. That's on the right. On the right. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Oh my fucking God.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other way to put it.
I was just on this fucking plane. Oh my God.
Yeah, so the plane's upside down. If you're not seeing this on video, and of course we're doing the radio aspect. The thing's upside down, and of course they're evacuating everybody. I mean, yeah, I don't know what your emotional response definitely would be directly after the thing as we're going through. But glad to see that no one was critically injured in regard to what was going on. Here was my question. How many people do you think were trying to off plane yesterday, and we're trying to get their stuff? I'm asking a serious question because it's part of the reality of the thing, of how that would go. So there you go. Okay, let's talk about real quick about some other things amid ongoing reporting that Americans are scaling back on their boozing habits. The supply chain is feeling the effects farther down. Vineyards in California are reporting the lightest grape crop in 20 years. An analyst from the industry grape broker says that wineries just aren't buying as much as they used to, telling local media that consumers don't really want to drink what their parents and grandparents drink. So there's a kind of a steering away from looking at their own next niche beverage. He adds that changing habits will also affect the Napa Valley labor market, with vineyards hiring fewer workers to work and manage the crop. This is according to KCRA. So I guess what is the drink of choice nowadays would be the other question that's going to come about. Like, seriously, if you're not doing this and you're not doing that, you have to be doing something because somebody's always doing something. So what's going on there? Because that's going to be the other question of what's happening. I'm just saying. So there you go. Okay, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on. Should we continue talking? Like, is the IPA taking the replacement, or are we just going with stronger alcohol? I mean, I don't know. I know if I've referenced this a few times. Here's the way that it works for me. I don't drink normally. If you're going to get me to drink anything, it has to normally be one of these two things. Tequila's going to override pretty much anything that you're going to offer me. And if it's kind of one of those tequilas that's almost impossible to find, yep, I will be probably right there with you in regards to drinking it. And honey whiskey, for some reason, has been the other thing. But there are so rare and far between that you probably wouldn't know that I drink at all if I do drink. So that's one thing. And yeah, I do like me the occasional tequila shot. And I will go to far places in the world to find good tequila. And I will dig and hunt. I remember hunting down this one particular bottle that I wanted pretty bad and went everywhere to find it. And it was pretty interesting. My wife was kind of thinking that I was losing my mind, but that was a whole other conversation. Anyways, Baltimore Ravens offensive lineman Ben Cleveland was arrested for DUI last week in Georgia. He had a BAC, blood alcohol level, just in case, of 0.178. Normal legal limits are 0.07 and below. Unless you have a CDL, then it's like 0.04. More than double the legal limit, according to a breathalyzer test administered. Cleveland was hit with 2 citations, DUI, and failure to maintain lane control. So then you start thinking, should you have one of those cars that self-drives? I mean, but then it still has to be supervised. So maybe that's a different conversation. So there you go. What an interesting time for sure, as we are talking. Okay, what else? Kendrick Lamar has made rap history with 3 of his albums in the top 10 on the Billboard 200 album charts at the same time. On Artist First in the charts of 69-year history, GNX is number 1. 2017's Damn is number 9, and 2012's Good Kid is number 10. The last artist overall to accomplish a feat like that would be Taylor Swift in December of 2023. The last male artist to have 3 albums on the top 10 at the same time was Prince following his death. That was back in 2016. This is according to Billboard.
Radio Big.
Okay, Kate Winslet will make her directorial debut with a family drama titled Goodbye, June. Goodbye, June. She will also produce and star in the film alongside Tully Collette, Johnny Flynn, Timothy Spall, and Helen Mirren. Netflix describes the movie as a touching yet humorous drama that follows a fractured group of siblings pulled together under trying circumstances. So that's what's going on there. So we'll see how it goes. By the way, I have to ask a question. And this is legit. This is a legit question. Have you finished Cobra Kai? Like, a lot of people were excited about Cobra Kai. You know, it was on YouTube Red, then it was on YouTube Premium, and then it moved over to Netflix, and then the finale just was released last week. So yesterday, I'm hanging out with my oldest daughter, and she wants to go see the new Captain America movie. We go to the theater, and there are promoting the new Karate Kid. It's like Karate Kid Legends. And of course it has Ralph Macchio, you know. Danielson, if one may say so, is in the movie, but there is no reference to Cobra Kai. It's like it didn't exist. So I'm not sure how that multiverse is working. So I will tell you, this Cobra Kai show and movie, or this Cobra Kai show, has really had a big impact on me. So the dentist that I go to, or used to go to, better saying, is a professional wrestler. And this professional wrestler is also a dentist, which is really weird. It's a weird combo. But anyways, that's not the important part. All of a sudden, she got tied into one of the people that was in Cobra Kai. And all of a sudden, now she was in Cobra Kai, the show, towards the end here. And now she stopped being a dentist, sold her practice, and was in Cobra Kai. So I'm just like, how much is Cobra Kai going to affect my life here?
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about some stuff that we're going to talk about here in just a few. Why is Harvey Weinstein suing his brother from behind bars? Gangbusters numbers for Sunday night's Saturday Night Live special. I almost called it an SL. And an approved boom for the president among the nation's youngest voters. And yet the first edition of an American literary classic hits the shelves for the first time on this date in history. We'll talk about some of that stuff as we are going. Anyways, police in New Haven, Connecticut recently responded to calls that a small seal was wandering the city streets. Yeah, that happened. Upon arriving to discover the 28-pound baby seal, likely only have 5 or 6 weeks old, they secured the area, alerted the animal rescue team at the nearby aquarium. Officials at the aquarium said that they responded to calls a few days earlier about the seal, then relocated it back to the beach, but back it came. For the next few months, the seal will be rehabbed by the aquarium officials while they teach it to hunt on its own before returning it once again to the wild. So there you go. What do you think? Interesting stuff, right? I would say so for sure. Anyways, take a listen to this. A venomous snake from Ecuador hitchhiked a ride in some bananas at the way of the grocery store in New Hampshire. The New Hampshire Fish and Game Department was called to the scene, safely removing the reptile and rehoming it with the Rainforest Reptile Show in Massachusetts. The snake is one of the most common species in western Ecuador, though not as common as bananas, of which the country is the top exporter, shipping out 6.7 million tons in 2023. That's about $4.51 billion worth of bananas. The shit is bananas, it sounds like. For sure, then. Anyways, officials in Boston are looking into what caused the building under construction to spontaneously collapse on Sunday, sending bricks flying and crushing a parked SUV. Fortunately, no one was inside at the site during the incident, but preliminary investigation suggests that the driver of the vehicle had parked and exited just a few minutes before. Immediately, the neighbors to the construction site have been forced to evacuate their homes during the investigation. One area resident tells local media that the sudden crash sounded like an earthquake they had experienced a few weeks ago. This is according to Boston 25 News. So there you go. That's interesting. Building collapses in regards to things that are going on. It gets interesting as we are talking. A lot of weird stuff happening as of late. This really sounds like a lot of strange things going on. Okay, let's talk about this. Actress Candice Bergen's husband, Marshall Rose, has died. He passed away on Saturday at home in New York from complications of Parkinson's disease. Rose was 88 at the time of his passing. In some other news, Pope Francis is hospitalized with an infection of his respiratory tract. Recent tests indicate that the complex clinical picture, meaning that the treatment plan will change adequate hospitalization, according to the statement from the Vatican. The 88-year-old has long been plagued with a string of lung-related medical struggles. So there you go. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you this because it's going to make it a lot easier. I know we got swampy at one point close to the election. But it sounds, because of so many things that are happening out of the White House, that we're just going to be swampy throughout the next 4 years. So let's just, I don't think we should make a big deal about it anymore. We're just going to talk about this shit all the time because it's going to just make life easier. Okay, while President Trump and Vladimir Putin won't meet at a summit in Saudi Arabia, their respective delegations will hold talks in ending the war in Ukraine. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is expected to hold talks with Russian counterparts in the country at some point this week. Rasmussen Chiefs pollster reports that Trump's approval rating is the highest among 18 to 39-year-olds than any other age group, with 56% approving the president's job performance so far. The younger generation's demanding, yes, they are demanding order and finding none, decide to supply their own. This is according to Mark Mitchell writes. In 2016, polling of the age group touted a 20% approval range. So there you go. Also, a shelter for illegal immigrants in San Diego has shut down entirely and laid off more than 100 staffers because there is no one to look after. Fox News Bill Milligan reports. So there you go. Also, let's talk about some stuff that's going on with the numbers, because that's what we do around here. Markets were closed for trading on President's Day, so not much happened. West Texas Intermediate closed at $71 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $75 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.16 on Monday, and Bitcoin remained mostly flat, trading right around $96,000 on Monday evening. Tonight's Mega Million drawing will be for a $145 million jackpot or a $66.3 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you have the opportunity to do so. Let me give you one more real quick. Harvey Weinstein is suing his brother Bob Weinstein for fraud and conspiracy to push him out of a co-executive Weinstein company. In the filing, Harvey Weinstein claims that his brother and other executives convinced him to guarantee a $45 million loan from AI International Holdings for a film production. The funds instead went to a personal use, unauthorized bonuses, and unrelated financial dealings for other executives. Now, Harvey says that he tried to save the company, but instead it has been left with the debt. While his brother and others line their pockets, he is seeking compensatory and punitive damages and is asking for full indemnification for the financial liability. Remember, Weinstein's company filed for Chapter 11 in bankruptcy in March of 2018 after sexual allegations were brought against Harvey. Meanwhile, Harvey is waiting for a retrial of his 2020 rape conviction, which is currently set for April the 15th. So be on the lookout for that. Anyways, 32 minutes past the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and do that thing that we would do right now that we normally would call our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Main story time. Yeah, main story time. And it's time to sit around and talk about everything that is going on that we can. And believe me, if we did that, that would just be a whole sound dump. So maybe we shouldn't talk about everything that we can. Maybe we should talk about the things that are important. And maybe we should talk about some of the things that we would want to put the most amount of focus on in regards of what you're doing. So let me ask you a strange question. Today, as we speak, it is February 18th of 2025. And as we are looking at this and we are talking about stuff, let's say, give or take, we're a little over 6 weeks into this new year. We'll just use that as some rough math. What has changed inside of your job from last year to this year over the last 6 weeks? Now, let's talk just for a brief moment. There's a lot of stuff being said of things changing. Now, maybe the way that you're doing training at your work sites, maybe the way that you're approaching stuff has changed. And I look at this and I go, okay, if these changes are taking place, who is training you on what the expectation is now? Because, I don't know, do you kind of feel like things are a little bit more laid back in regards of what's needing to be done? Or do you see right now that there's a lot more things that are happening that you go, okay, we need to put some more concerted efforts on things that are going back or that are going forward? And I say these things for a reason here. Let me make sure that I'm very specific. Because what happens sometimes is that when we have a change that occurs, we take a look and go, okay, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's kind of ease up a little bit on some things. And I don't know if that is the best thing to do at times. I look around and I go, what is going to be the best solution for the things that are going on right now in your workplace? Because what we need to focus on is always the same thing. And when I say that, take that with a thing that it is a compliment to say, and that is to make sure that people are good, make sure that people make it back home, and hopefully they are in the same or better condition than what they were from when they first got there. So I always look at it the same way. I don't know what versionality inside of your workplace you use for safety. And I can make assumptions, but I don't know what they are because they're exactly that. They would just be assumptions. So I look at it from the standpoint that we need to look at it this way. Use the principles of whatever versionality you have. And some people will sit here and go, what do you mean principles? Well, with human and organization, there are principles. And so if you look at it and you go, okay, there's principles all across the board, then you go, if you only apply those, they will make the most amount of sense. So for human and organizational performance, in case you do not know, error is normal. Blame fixes nothing. Context drives behavior. Learning is vital. And management's response matters. If you take a look at those 5 things, and that's how you're associating everything that's changed, and you have popped the brakes, pumped the brakes, whatever you want to say, and you look at it and go, this will make the most logical sense, and you use those 5 principles with everything that you do going forward, it will make your job better, easier, and one of those things that you look at and go, this is how I'm moving forward, and I don't ever have any kind of doubts, regardless of what's changing around you. And some people will struggle with that and going, but we have a minimal recommendation going forward now. But if you look at it from the standpoint that I'm telling you, and you go, all of my decisions will be based around these 5 core principles for what we're using here with human and organizational performance, things will be different. And that becomes an issue for some. So whatever versionality of safety you're using, if you use the core principles, it will always kind of be the guiding light, if one may say, in regards of what needs to happen next.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Less than $2 a month and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
It's a new year, but it's feeling harder than ever to find and hire qualified people you need, especially for small businesses. That's where LinkedIn Job comes in. They make it easier to find people you want to talk to faster and for free. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 770 million people. Focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience and use screening questions to get your role in front of the most qualified people. Then use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering qualified hires versus leading competitors. I have to tell you that we have used LinkedIn Jobs to even find some of the people that we have here at Safety FM. LinkedIn Jobs can help you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your jobs for free on linkedin.com/safetyfm. That's linkedin.com/safetyfm to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And don't forget to tell them that you heard it right here on Safety FM.
Listen at your own risk.
Rated R Safety Show.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Some of the best things in life come to those who wait, but we ain't waiting for shit. Radio Big.
Okay, here we are. 45 minutes past the top of the hour. We are still hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show. No doubt about that. As we are doing our thing. This right here is Christie. Song title, Lisboa. Songs readily available. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music. All right there for you. Yeah, I know. We kind of try to keep it different every time. Yep. Okay, a lot of stuff going on inside of the world of the multiverse. We would like to thank Christie for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. No doubt about that. Okay, so let's talk about some things that we need to talk about. Let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help, and the people at To Write Love on Her Arms want you to know that people have been where you are now, and healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there and you click on it, you'll see information related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. Okay, let's talk about some other things that are going on inside of the multiverse. As no doubt to know your experience at the gym or at work, having the right music can really help get into the zone. But what is the best type of music to boost focus and productivity? According to a new study published by PLOS One, specifically composed of workflow music, actually helps people think faster and feel better while completing challenges and mental tasks. Other types of background audio includes deep focus tracks from streaming services, current hits or simulated office noise. Not so much. The researchers from various American universities determined that a special workflow music maintained at a moderately fast tempo with a steady beats that didn't overwhelm the listeners. Only the participants listening to the specialized design music showed significant improvements in both mood and task performance. And perhaps surprisingly to some, pop hits, despite their popularity, showed no significant benefits in either mood or performance. Possible solutions: get Taylor Swift and Sabrina Carpenter records off of the workflow music. I'm just saying. And then because really want to be listening to music and don't know what you can and cannot be singing all day long. So maybe that's why you're not doing so much focus on music or so much focusing on work if you're listening to music throughout the day. I'm just saying, just some thoughts of some things to come about. No doubt about that. Anyways, let's talk about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. Ozzy Osbourne will perform a little bit in pieces with Black Sabbath at his farewell gig. Back to the beginning amid his ongoing battle with Parkinson's disease. I'm not planning on doing a set with Black Sabbath, but I'm doing little bits and pieces with them, he told the Daily Mail. I'm doing what I can where I feel comfortable. The show will be the first time Black Sabbath band members perform together in over 2 decades. This is according to the Daily Mail. Speaking of Parkinson's, boxing legend Mike Tyson doesn't have it. While discussing his use of psychedelic drugs, Jake Paul said that Tyson smoked toad venom the night before their November bout, claimed that it cured his Parkinson's so that he could come back and fight. Tyson's team says that he's perfectly healthy and doesn't have Parkinson's or any other illness. Paul also walked back his statement on X, writing that his wording was taken out of context, even though he specifically said drugs cured Tyson of the disease. So there you go. Some stuff to think about. Anyways, why don't we do this? Why don't we bring some John Smalls into our life? and let him tell us about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute, courtesy of GenesisGoldIRA.com and JaceCaseMedical.com.
The Motivation Minute.
Today's quote was submitted by Tina. Arthur C. Clarke said, "The limits of the possible can only be defined by going beyond them into the impossible." Such a cool thought. Have you ever attempted to do the impossible? It's one of my favorite things to witness. I've watched the underdog win so many times. I'm such a fan of that. I absolutely love to work with people who want to attempt the impossible. I'll admit, sometimes we don't achieve what we want to. But here's the cool thing. Sometimes we do. If you decide that it's not possible before you even try, you are making it impossible. Get out there and try something impossible today.
The Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute, courtesy of GenesisGoldIRA.com and JaceCaseMedical.com. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Hello, I'm Richard Exley with your 1-minute devotion. You cannot live in our sexually satiated society without experiencing sexual temptation. Therefore, it is critical to prepare for it. Rule number 1, listen to godly counsel. Proverbs says, "My son, my commands will keep you from the adulteress." Rule number 2, don't window shop. Let Job be your example. Make a covenant with your eyes not to look lustfully at a girl. Rule number 3, guard your life. The Living Bible says, temptation is the pull of a man's own evil thoughts. These evil thoughts lead to evil actions. Rule number 4, count the cost. The man who commits adultery is an utter fool, for he destroys himself. Lord, deliver us from temptation. Amen. If these devotions are a blessing and an encouragement to you, you can subscribe at oneminutedevotion.com.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
In eastern Ukraine, Russian forces have captured the village of Berezivka in the Donetsk region, marking a significant advance in their ongoing offensive. Benjamin Wright reports,
"This offensive has been costly for Russia in terms of troops and equipment, but has yielded strategic gains. Meanwhile, uncertainty looms over continued U.S. military support for Ukraine, as President Donald Trump has indicated a potential meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin to negotiate a peace deal."
A Moscow court has ordered the 30-day pretrial detention of U.S. citizen Caleb Wayne Byers on drug smuggling charges. Joseph Eckerson with the latest.
If convicted, the 28-year-old American could face up to 7 years in prison under Russian law. This incident follows a recent prisoner exchange between the U.S. and Russia, highlighting ongoing tensions and the complexities of international legal disputes involving American citizens abroad.
In the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda-backed M23 rebels have advanced into Bukavu, the second largest city in the eastern region, after capturing Goma last month. The rebel incursion has led to widespread panic and looting, with tens of thousands of residents fleeing the city.
As Congolese soldiers retreated south, abandoning their posts, reports emerged of factories being pillaged and prisoners released, though essential services like electricity remain operational. The ongoing conflict has resulted in nearly 3,000 deaths and displaced hundreds of thousands. Kevin Sanders reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
In a recent development, 3 Venezuelan immigrants were deported from El Paso, Texas, back to Venezuela after obtaining a restraining order against their transfer to Guantanamo Bay. Despite concerns raised by their legal representatives about potential dangers due to alleged false gang affiliations, the deportations proceeded.
A U.S. federal judge had temporarily blocked their transfer to Guantanamo Bay, where Venezuelan immigrants are being sent daily under President Donald Trump's immigration policies. Immigrant rights groups have filed lawsuits seeking access to individuals held at Guantanamo Bay who currently lack legal counsel and contact with their families. Kyle Norris reporting.
Federal employees nationwide are expressing anger and confusion following President Donald Trump's directive for agencies to lay off probationary employees lacking civil service protections.
The controversy extends to other administration actions, including the proposed dismissal of corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams and the president's push for increased domestic oil and gas production. Jessica Oakley reporting.
The White House has barred another Associated Press reporter and photographer from boarding Air Force One, escalating a dispute over the terminology used for the Gulf of Mexico.
Journalists argue that this action violates First Amendment rights, while the Trump administration defends its decision. Jim Kender reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, you're listening to something magical, all right. No doubt about that as we are talking. So let's talk about some other things that are going on. Things that happened back on this day. Back in 2020, the Boy Scouts of America filed for bankruptcy amid hundreds of sexual abuse lawsuits. The organization said it intended to use Chapter 11 process to create a victims' compensation trust that would provide equitable compensation to victims. After multiple reinventions during the difficult period, the organization rebranded as Scouting America in February of 2025. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today. J-Hope from BTS turns 31. Logan Miller, 33. Sarah Joy Brown, 50. Jillian Michaels turns 51. Molly Ringwald turns 57. Dr. Dre turns 60. Matt Dillon, 61. Vanna White turns 68. John Travolta turns 71 today. And Yoko Ono, yeah, she turns 92 today, just in case if you were wondering. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I always will try to have some of those for you, because why would I not? It's Pluto Day and Flirting Day. Take it whichever way you want to do it, I guess, is the way that we should probably look at that one. So there you go. If you need a random joke for today, I have one of those. To work, or at work, not to work. At work, they've been treating me like one of the family, and I put up with it as long as I can. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What do you think is the greatest invention of all time? What is the greatest invention of all time? If you need a question for the water cooler, try this. Typically, the younger you are, the more you do this. What is it? Smile. There you go. Anyways, that's going to sum up our time together in regards of the things that we have going on here. So thanks for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate it. Always a good time when you and I are together doing our thing. No doubt about that. So thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it makes no sense to do what we do around here. If I can't leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. Today's accomplishments were yesterday's impossibilities. Think about that. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I will be going over to radiobig.fm, hanging out for the next couple hours or so, doing some music news and stuff, and playing some music, if you want to come over there with me. If not, you can hang out here on Safety FM with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. And that's it. That's going to sum up our time. Appreciate the time, you, I, all of us hanging out together. No doubt about that. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, with prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.